Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, children of all ages, and welcome to another video of Emile's Corner. In this video, you will have a chance to listen to a good song by Legendary Band Van Halen. That's right, Legendary Band with a capital L and a capital B. Uh, Van Halen that we know has had multiple albums peak at number one throughout various billboards, and also albums that peaked number one with two different singers, David Lee Roth to start off with, and Sammy Hagar afterwards. Now, the song 5150 is the title of the album, 5150, which is Van Halen's seventh studio album that came out on March 24th, 1986. A very good album. It peaked number one on the US Billboard 200. Hats off to Van Halen. And that's there is a lot of merit into that. It's a great album. I have it as a Van Halen fan myself. Van Halen here, what do they provide to us that is different than the previous album with David Lee Roth? Because you got to keep in mind that's the first album that they released with Sammy Hagar being new to the band. And the differences with this album compared to the previous one. Well, first of all, Eddie Van Halen's guitar this time is the sound comes through two speakers instead of one. On the previous albums, it was one speaker, which gave his guitar sound a more of a live type sound. Here, it's more of a balanced sound, which is very good as well. I mean, I'm not going to get into the deep technicalities here. Adding to that also is Sammy Hagar's dynamic, hard vocals, which really adds a really good twist to the album. Therefore, all this delivers a pretty good product. Another factor that helps me conclude that this is a good album is we have on this album ballads compared to the previous ones that didn't have many. Ballads were being quite frequent in the second half of the 80s with hair metal bands and other hard rock bands. And Love Walks In. That's a very good ballad with Van Halen on this album that scored pretty well on the billboards. Dreams also is a good song. So the hits on that album overall, you got Why Can't This Be Love? Awesome song. Eddie Van Halen plays really good keyboards on this album. And Sammy Hagar, by the way, can play guitar too in a few parts of the album. Also, Dreams, Love Walks In, Summer Nights. But we never really heard the song on the radio stations and the music channels and music television there. We never heard the song 5150. 5150 has a great guitar solo by Eddie Van Halen. I find Eddie Van Halen has a talent for really, how can I say it? Really giving some kind of personality to his guitar. You got to listen to his solo in the middle of that song. Also adding Sammy Hagar's very good vocals, which is a pretty good combo on this album. But again, Eddie Van Halen being the mastermind of the guitar himself, a mastermind with a capital M, I think he gives us a really good solo on that song. And you may wonder, what does the song mean, 5150? Well, technically, 5150, believe it or not, is a police code for when a mentally disturbed person escapes an asylum or prison or wherever he's being held captive there. And if you listen to the lyrics of the song, it's more about like ups and downs of a relationships, new beginnings, and then issues that come up, and then resolution, and then new beginning, and then again cycle after cycle. It seems, without again getting into too much details over this. But maybe back then, I searched on the internet, I couldn't really find a straight answer, but there was one source that indicated that maybe back then, craziness and coolness went together. could be, because the song really has a cool touch to it. You know, it's really the kind of song that you can listen at a pool bar down south in a resort, or at a party at home, or you know, at a pub where you have a, you know, a really good crowd being social here. That's a really good background song. But unfortunately, like I said, the song didn't play all over the main stations there. So, having said that, I think it's a good album. Overall, the song is good. The critics of the album were mixed. Some gave it 3 stars out of 5. Some gave it more. Some gave it a C plus. Some gave it a higher rating. But regardless, the album peaked at #1 on the U.S. Billboard 200 back then. So hats off to Van Halen. They've done a really good job with this album, and they've done a really good job with the song 5150, which I think should have been more played on radio stations. So there you go. Emile's Corner proudly presents to you Van Halen's 5150. Enjoy, guys.